Everybody, this is Danny Goodwin, Editorial Director of Search Engine Land, and I am lucky to be joined today by none other than Eric Enge. Eric, welcome. And if you want to do a quick intro, I think most everybody knows you by this point, but if you want to introduce yourself to the audience.
I'll be happy to do that. Hey, everybody, Eric Enge here. I am president of Pilot Holding, but probably best known for having been the lead co-author of The Art of SEO, one of the more popular books, if not the most popular book on the topic, and CEO of Stone Temple Consulting, which was a very well-known brand back in the day, one of the more popular SEO agencies. We were at 70 people and we sold it. So we had a really good broad customer base. But that's who I am. I've been in SEO for 25 years and change. So
Yeah,
very done that.
yeah, absolutely. And Eric obviously has been at a lot of SMX advanced shows over the years. Could you even count the number you've been at? I know we started in 2007, but have you been into pretty much all of them, haven't you?
I missed the first one because of one of my children having a graduation.
That's a good reason to miss a show.
It was like, I'm certainly not choosing the show over my child's graduation. But boy, I wish I could do both of these things.
Right. So yeah, and this year, obviously, SMX Advance is back in person. This year will be in Boston, and Eric will be speaking at the show. And I want to take this opportunity before the show to kind of just have a quick chat with you about a few things that are going on in the industry and kind of preview what you'll be talking about at the show. So I figured a good place to start. Obviously, there's a lot of change going on right now in search and Google and our entire industry. Kind of curious to get a feel from you. What do you think we all are doing right as an industry and adapting to all the changes that are doing? And maybe also what are we doing wrong as an industry right now?
Well, in a way, I think of it as two sides of the same coin, which is that I see a lot of people doing a really good job of adapting to the fact that, well, just off the top, search traffic is probably down 35% for most sites, or that's a common number, and I've seen it across a wide array of sites. So that's a big thing to adapt to, but then there's sort of some related aspects, which is, well, how much did your conversion really drop? Well, it didn't drop 35% because you were giving away, or not getting traffic, I should say, that, wasn't converting for you anyway. So, it's complicated to sort all that out, but I think a lot of people are doing a pretty good job of understanding that the ground has shifted under their feet. And we don't even know where it's shifting to, really. And so that's a hard thing to deal with, that level of uncertainty. But a bunch of people doing it well, but I see a lot of people just, head in the sand, not doing it well too. And that's frustrating because, the world changes all the time and we have to be prepared for and deal with that. And guess what? So here's the fun part. It's got to be a fun part, right? This is the time when real winners are made. When everything's changing around you and it's unstable and nobody's quite sure what to do. And if you can be one of the ones that get it, right or close to right early on, that's how you become a winner, So if you're a true entrepreneur, it's a great time.
Absolutely. That was a great point. We will move along to my next question. So I think you alluded to this a little bit. Obviously, a lot of people are seeing the traffic declines, and there's been a lot of talk about how rankings matter or do not matter heading forward. So how do you see SEOs providing value beyond rankings as we head through the rest of this year and beyond?
Well, the question, one of the bigger variables we have to deal with, Danny, is that we just don't know how much Google is going to shift. They have launched this AI mode thing, which is sort of this pure chatbot search type experience like ChatGPT. And so is that going to become the whole world, or are there classes of queries where lists of websites is still a better answer? I happen to think it is. Actually, there are queries that's true, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all shifting so much that it's really hard to understand where it's going to land. And I'm sorry, I got so into answering that part of the question, but what was the original question again?
Just how we can provide value beyond rankings.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's working on figuring this out is really, I think, the short answer.
Mm-hmm.
And there are certain things that I think some people have begun to figure out about how ranking in a generative AI platform is different than Google search. And I could talk a little bit about that if you're interested in.
Sure.
Yeah. So the way traditional Google determines relevance is they'll take your search query and they'll create an embedding vector for that. And then they'll compare that to the embedding vector that they have for your page. And it's a whole large subtopic of how embedding vector for a page is different than a query. But suffice it to say, they have a vector, 768 dimensional vector or something like that describes the content of a page, and a similar one for the query. And they see how relevant they are to each other, right? And if the vectors are really close like that, as opposed to like that, they decide that it's a potential page to rank. And then they get into other aspects of the algorithm, decide whether to rank it or not. But in the world of ChatGPT and AI mode and the like, Perplexity, all those, it's different because in those platforms, they want to return web pages that address all of the subtopics. So they do many comparisons. And you want to score well on all of those comparisons to be the first one listed in ChatGPT or whatever. So the depth that you need to go into your content analysis changes. And people who are going to optimize really well for that will probably still do very well in traditional search,
Mm-hmm.
and now have a chance of ranking in from what we'll call a GEO perspective.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Now, I've been hearing in the last few days, a lot of people are kind of talking about how citations are kind of on LLMs are more of the equivalent of what you need to rank, whereas now it's obviously been links for years and years. Links have been sort of everything that mattered. Do you see anything in that where do links matter in the LLM space? Have you seen anything about that? Because I've been hearing a lot about how it can help, or it's mixed. It's just you never know who to believe about this stuff. I'm just curious if you've seen anything about that sort of says citations really matter for ranking versus links. Do links even matter to LLMs?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think this is a little bit speculative, my answer, to be honest, but I don't think that a link and a citation are going to be that different in how they're weighted by ChatGPT.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
But I do think it'll matter in Google.
Yes.
Because Google can see if it's getting clicked on.
Right. Exactly. Okay.
Right.
Great. All right. Next question I wanted to ask you, what are you most excited about right now in SEO? There's obviously a lot of doom and gloom, but what are we excited about?
The opportunity. I mean, we have such a big opportunity in front of us. I kind of answered it a little bit before when I talked about, if you're a true entrepreneur, times of disrupted change, that's when money gets made. Money gets lost by a lot of people, and that's sad. So I don't want to overlook that part of it. But if you like being in the game, this is a great time to be doing stuff, because there's so much to be figured out, and you get it figured out, you're going to rock, you're going to do really well. By the way, there's a key assumption there I just want to mention really briefly, which is you're going to get less traffic, right? Let's get over it. That's just where we are. But the traffic you're not getting is probably not the highest converting traffic you were getting to your site.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how much is it going to drag down your business? There's probably a balance that still has to be figured out between the websites and the the various platforms before it all settles out. But people are still going to buy products and services, and OpenAI isn't providing those, and Google isn't providing those, and Microsoft isn't providing, at least most of them, that is. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. So we'll go the opposite end of that now. So is there anything that has you worried right now in SEO? Obviously, yes, there is a lot of opportunity, but, our AI overviews, zero clicks been, getting mentioned a lot lately. There's been a lot of talk around budgets being slashed. Like there's a lot of kind of, I don't want to call it chaos, but it's sort of chaotic right now for a lot of people. So what in particular are you worried about, if anything?
well, a lot of people, for varying reasons, are going to get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've stated the upside of it, the opportunity and all that, but not everybody's going to respond well. So the perfect example, you just mentioned it. Budgets are getting slashed, people are getting laid off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not thinking that that's the right response, by the way, for the great majority of the people who are doing it, because, they have something to figure out, and the number of buyers out there hasn't really changed, or, whatever they have, the mechanisms by which they reach those buyers are changing. So, but unfortunately, a lot of people are going to get hurt, and that's, that worries me. And I don't like that part of it at all. But,
yeah. Yep. There. So based on what you're seeing, and obviously all we've chatted about here, do you feel like SEO is heading toward a new growth period? Do you see it declining, or maybe even reinventing itself? I know there's been lots of debate about, GEO or AEO, answer engine optimization, generative engine optimization, whatever we want to call it. I think people are confusing, like, at least from my perspective, it seems like people are confusing if we're trying to rebrand SEO, but it just feels like it's not a rebranding because SEO isn't going anywhere. Obviously Google's still getting 5 trillion searches a year. That's a lot of search, but now there's ChatGPT search, there's all these other LLMs. So, how do you sort of see the current state of SEO? Do you think it's going to grow, decline, reinvent itself in some new way?
Yeah. So I do think that the fastest driver of declines in clicks on what I'll call traditional search rankings is going to be from what Google does itself. As soon as, AI mode becomes a standard option, and even with AI overviews growing, the traditional listings are getting pushed down. And we already talked about a 35% reduction in traffic. So I think that's, it just means there's less opportunity there. Now, mind you, someone who gets satisfied by an AIO probably wasn't a customer. Anyway, you're probably going to lose some conversions out of it. Don't get me wrong. But there's going to be a bigger premium on getting in the top 3 spots, right? 7, 8, 9, and 10 are, that's the equivalent of the third scroll on your browser today, right? So I do think there's going to be a bigger push to get those top positions. And I do think that a very large percentage of people who think of themselves as SEOs will get into GEO, AEO, and whatever other EOs we come up with.
Right. Okay. And then let's talk a little bit about SMX Advanced. You'll be speaking there. Your session is Google, EEAT, and brand, focusing on signals that actually fuel SEO growth. So for anyone watching who's maybe thinking about coming to SMX Advanced, what will you be talking about in your session? And just take it from there.
Yeah, I think people have been deeply concerned about EEAT and brand for various reasons and in different ways for for a long time, and I think there's been some misunderstanding about how they work. The concepts as expressed by Google, EEAT, expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trust. They're not really measuring those things directly. They're measuring other things, right?
Yep.
And by the same token, I don't think they don't really measure brand directly either. But they're measuring other things that brand helps drive. So that's where we get into understanding that user engagement is a huge factor. I think a lot of people in the industry have believed that for many, many years now, but now any lingering doubt has been thoroughly erased by the stuff that was shared a year plus ago. So we really need to understand how user engagement matters. And so I'm going to get into talking about that, getting specific, sharing some case studies of cases where just optimizing content for better user engagement brought good results, or optimizing content for higher relevance through using the same kind of analysis that Google does. This embeddings that I talked about earlier, embedding vectors, and just showing that these are the things that really matter, which, by the way, if you think about them, brand and EEAT are things that help make those things better on your site. But it isn't that you put an author tag somewhere, or or you bought a big ad on a large news site or a TV ad. That's not it. And Google isn't actually thinking directly about those things.
Right. Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to that. And I get the pleasure of moderating your session yet again. I don't even know how many times I've been your moderator, but it's always a pleasure, and really looking forward to that session. SMX Advanced is in Boston this year, June 11th to 13th. Get your tickets. We want to see you there. Come talk to Eric. Is one of the smartest guys, been around the game forever. And it's a very interesting time, and he'll help you kind of figure out what's going on in that world. So thanks, Eric, for joining us for this quick chat. We'll see you in Boston, which is your hometown, and where I grew up as well. So it's a homecoming for both of us.
Awesome. Yeah. And everybody out there, come up and talk to me after I talk too. Happy to chat with anybody and talk about all this stuff. It's just too much fun to think about.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks again, Eric. And thanks everybody for watching.